It's time for Dodger baseball.
One out and it's a perfect game.
High fly ball into right field. She is gone. Fernando Valenzuela has pitched a no-hitter.
Clayton Kershaw pitches a no-hitter. Turner in the air to center field. That ball's hit well. Martinez on the run. This is way back. And it is gone. It is a walk-off home run for Justin Turner.
And for the second consecutive season, the Dodgers are going to the World Series.
Bellinger hammers the ball. It's Bellinger's turn. Lifts a fly ball to left center field. Back towards the wall. It is gone. Mookie with another 3-home run game.
And welcome into the Dodgers Nation post-game show. I'm your host, Doug McCain. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. That's at DMac_LA. The Dodgers get the win. And they get the win 5-1 today. They beat the Diamondbacks. They sweep the Snakes. And Clayton Kershaw, a sensational outing for King Kersh. We're going to break down all of tonight's action. But first, let's get right into the comments here. I'm going to jump right in here. The Dodgers sweep the Snakes. They improved to 29-10 on the year. 18 of their last 21 games they've won. They're now 19-8 against the NL West. They're 19-5 when they score first. And the story tonight was Clayton Kershaw. Clayton Kershaw reminded me of that scene in The Hangover where he said, hey, Tyson still got it. Clayton Kershaw still got it, and he's been remarkable this season, save for that one outing against the San Francisco Giants. Clayton Kershaw has pitched 31 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, 35 strikeouts to just 5 walks. Clayton Kershaw is elite, and he showed it tonight. He was flirting with a no-hitter, 6 scoreless innings of one-hit ball for Clayton Kershaw. But we've got lots to get into, so let's talk some Dodgers baseball. Let's get right into these comments. You know how we get things kicked off here. You know how we get down. Give me those thoughts, comments, and questions about your boys in blue, and let me know where you're representing Dodgers Nation from. Give me those cities, zip codes, and area codes. But here we go. Let's start right at the top at Doug Crosby. I already know where you're from, Doug. East Lansing, Michigan, in the house. A day one here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Congrats, Kersh. Neraldo, Wilmington, Heart of the Harbor. Ryan, congrats, Kersh. 3,000 coming up. 3,000 coming up. Clayton Kershaw gets his 25,000th strikeout today. Passes Christy Mathewson. And Clayton Kershaw, he already set the big milestone last week, becoming the all-time winningest left-handed pitcher as far as winning percentages goes with .689. And Clayton Kershaw tonight, he was remarkable. Tonight, the Dodgers, they needed Clayton Kershaw too because they had a tough time hitting that changeup early on. But let's break down this action. Let's jump into these comments, take some comments here, and then we'll break down the action here because there's a lot to get into in this one here. We got Battlefield, Missouri from Laura Marisol. Congrats, Dodgers, on a great win and sweep of Arizona. We got it's Big Doug. What up, Clay? How's it going? It's the Big Doug Show. I like that. That's a little reference to the WWF there. Doug, what up, Doug? How's it going? It's good to be living in Phoenix. Ryan, what's up, Doug, from El Paso, Texas. You got Coco. They're the best. Go Dodgers. We got Julio from Victorville, California. Candido Perez, greetings from New Brunswick, Texas. The 8-3-0, woohoo, win or lose. Love my Dodgers from Lisa, Wilmington Harbor area. The 3-1-0 from Neralda, Dareth Madrigal. Hello, everyone from Los Angeles, California. Great win for the Dodgers today. Let's get another win tomorrow. Let's go, Dodgers. East Bay, Bay Area Giants suck. I like that East Bay Raider rocking with us here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Houston bleeds blue, and they're about to play the Astros in a few weeks. That's from Martin. Doug Crosby, Kersh getting his 4th Cy Young this year. And haha, yes, sir, you are correct. Hey, man. Jacob, how sweep it is. I like that from Dodgers. Dodgers so dominate. Jacob from Victorville. Go Dodgers from Sandra. Coco, Gardena, California in the house. Good game. Cindy from the 661 over on Facebook. Tracy, my boys in blue with the heart emoji. Wes, go blue. We got Vegas Baby from Matt. Hey, speaking of Vegas, I would roll the dice on this starting rotation and this Dodger club because they get it done tonight. And Clayton Kershaw was absolutely spectacular tonight. Let's get right into this action because we've got a lot to get into here. Let's break it down. So Clayton Kershaw, heading into tonight, his last 2 starts heading into tonight's action, 13 innings pitched, a 6.9 ERA, just 8 hits, 1 run, 15 strikeouts, and 1 walk. So he comes into the start, and he was hot. Opponents were hitting just 182 off Clayton Kershaw. and he had pitched against the Arizona Diamondbacks. That was his first start. It was in Arizona at the Bob. Actually, it's the Chase Field. I still call it the Bob. You remember the Bob. That's what it was originally called. And that was when he goes 5 2/3 innings, 3 hits, 6 Ks. So he had success against this Diamondbacks team. And then the top of the first inning, Clayton Kershaw, he was hitting 92 on the gun early on. And he's only the 8th guy to have his fastball velo increase after 5 years in a row of it decreasing. So Clayton Kershaw, he's great, but he's great because of that hard work and determination that he put in the offseason, went up to Driveline. I've said all season long, when we win a ring this year, Driveline gets a ring. We're going to give Driveline a ring for the work they've done with Clayton Kershaw and Kenley Jansen, because that velo, it's still at 92. He was averaging around 90 last year, about 90.4 on the heater last year. So he comes out and he gets LeCastro to ground out to first for the first out. Then on a full count, he gets Cole Calhoun to chase an arm side heater for the second out. And then the Kershaw killer, Christian Walker, comes out up there. He's hitting .462 with 4 home runs, tied for the most against Clayton Kershaw. He takes a fastball at the knees for the strikeout. 2,499 Ks for Clayton Kershaw at that point. And it was a 1-2-3 inning for Kershaw, 2 punch outs in the top of that first inning. And he wasn't landing the off-speed stuff at first. In the first inning, he was not effective with that slider or that curveball for strikes, but he gets him out, and then he punched out Calhoun on a 4-seamer, and that was one swinging, and he punched out Calhoun on a 4-seamer, one swinging and one looking. He also got Walker working. So he comes out in that first inning. He was locating that fastball, and then he was getting the feel for that breaking stuff. So we'll jump to the bottom of the first. Let's get some comments in here. I want to get your grade for Clayton Kershaw. I think that's easy, right? A+ for Clayton. Well, let's give him an A. A+ would have been a no-no, right? I know you were thinking about Clayton Kershaw. Would he have an opportunity there to go 9 frames and get his second no-hitter of his career? If you're wondering how many pitches Clayton Kershaw pitched in his first no-hitter, that was 107 pitches. So I knew, look, when he got 2 outs with 4 pitches in the 6th inning, I said maybe there's a possibility. I was getting my hopes up, but Dave Roberts was in that dugout like baby, just waiting to come out and get Clayton Kershaw and take him out of this one. But 107 pitches in that original no-hitter back in 2014. Let's jump in to get some more comments here. Where do you guys grade Clayton Kershaw's night? Let me know down below in the comments here. Leroy, regulation Dodgers, score Dodgers. Victor, go Dodgers. East Bay, wouldn't it be nice if we won the World Series for Kershaw? It would be great. There's no player in Major League Baseball history that deserves a World Series more than Clayton Kershaw. I mean, he has the mythical World Series of 2017 because I know there's some debate. Should Jock Peterson have won that World Series MVP, hit 3 home runs? But Clayton Kershaw, 11 strikeouts, no walks in Game 1. And then in Game 5, he was cruising until they started banging and stealing signs with the camera. So I think that Clayton Kershaw is deserving of a World Series. And if the baseball gods do anything right, it is to get Clayton Kershaw a World Series. He's owed one, and I think that there's a good chance they do it. Yes, get Clayton a ring. I agree, Doug. 2 thumbs up. That's from Clay Dunsmore over on Facebook. We got Steve Romero. That's right. Go Dodgers. We got Sandra, World Series, baby. A sailed loner. Chimmy, sure. A good game to a friend of Olympique de Marseille, France. Comment allez-vous over there up in France. Doug Crosby with the A. Me with the sip of water. And then head to the bottom of the first. So the Dodgers, bottom of the first inning, Mookie Betts flies to left for the first out. And then Corey Seager, he extends his on-base streak to 12 games with a single to center. And then on a 3-2 count, Max Muncy hits a hard ground ball off of Walker. It ends up in short right field and goes for a single. Max Muncy giving the Dodgers runners on first and second with 1 out and Bellinger at the plate. Now the reigning MVP is starting to get going at the right time. Cody Bellinger has put together a nice run here in his last 11 games, hitting .305, 8 home runs in his last 16. So in his last 16, hitting .305 with 8 home runs. And in his last 11, he's hitting .341. So not a phenomenal night tonight for Cody Bellinger, but we are headed in the right direction with Cody Bellinger. So on a 2-2 count, Bellinger grounds to first. Walker steps on the bag, throws to second, and it bounces off the bag, deflecting off Max Muncy, scoring Seager on the play, making it 1-0 boys in blue. And the Dodgers are now 19-5 this year when they cross home plate first. Seager gets the Dodgers' first run of the night. And then Chris Taylor, he cranks a base hit into left, scoring Max Muncy, giving CT3 his 14th RBI of the year, his 5th of the series at that point. So 3 hits, they leave 1, and they lead 2-0 after 1. So the Dodgers, they set the tone early on, and then it was back to Clayton Kershaw. Kershaw was doing his thing in the second inning. So he had Peralta in an 0-2 hole. He walks Peralta on a pitch down and away. Peralta checked his swing. He holds up. And Clayton Kershaw, I think the difference this year, too, is he's not nibbling. He's attacking hitters in the zone. Hitters are hitting 135 on pitches in the zone. And he's been painting, he's been challenging, and that is the difference with Clayton Kershaw. With that velo increase, it's not a huge velo increase, but it's just enough to open things up for that slider and that curveball and give him the confidence to challenge hitters, and you saw it there. So 135 on pitches inside the zone. The Major League average is 283, so he's been outstanding. King Kershaw gets Ahmed swinging with a curveball for his 2,500 strikeout of his career. So his 2,500 strikeout of his career, the 39th pitcher of all time to reach that feat, and now he's chasing Don Sutton with 2,696 for the all-time Dodgers strikeout king. And then Josh Rojas, he grounds out softly to Kersh, and he thought he had it. His hands are up like he was scoring, like he was just running through the bag, like he had scored a touchdown, but he was out for the second out of the inning. Peralta advanced to second on the play, and then he gets Young swinging on a slider low and inside for his 2,501 strikeout of his career. 2,000. Can you imagine striking out someone 2,501 times? I don't think I've done anything that many times in my lifetime. 2,501. That's how many strikeouts he gets on that pitch. So 4 strikeouts through 2 for Clayton Kershaw, and he was off with his fastball. He missed with his slider to walk Peralta. Then he started to get the feel for that breaking ball in the second inning. He got Ahmed swinging with the curve, gets a soft ground out on his slider to get Rojas, and then against Young, it was a pinpoint landing of that curveball. A Cooperstown Uncle Charlie from Clayton Kershaw on that pitch. He gets the called strike to Young for strike 3. And then in the bottom of the second inning, the Dodgers offense went cold until later in the game. So we're going to keep breaking down this game in just a second, but let's jump back into these comments here. We got Javier, go Dodgers. Doug, his last 4 starts, he's been lights out. San Francisco, Seattle, Anaheim. The first start of the year against Arizona, the 11 strikeout game against Seattle. Clayton Kershaw, this is not a fluke. This is sustainable. We are spoiled with the greatness of Clayton Kershaw, and he proved it once again tonight as the Dodgers sweep the Snakes and take care of business in the NL West. And the magic number, I can't believe this. This pains me and makes me happy at the same time. The magic number is 16 for the Dodgers after tonight, and we are nearing the postseason. So get ready, Dodgers Nation. The postseason is near, and we'll be talking the wild card series pretty soon here. But let's jump back into these comments. Dodgers boys in blue from Steve Romero. What an effort by Kike, East Bay Ryder. Steven, A+. Then the cheater one, SMFH. Real talk, big facts right there. The cheaters, the Houston Astros. Never a wrong time for an Astros burn. You know how we get down here on the Dodgers Nation postgame show. Brenda, Dodgers #1, baby. Nancy, go Dodgers. Kevin Rios. Hopefully Kershaw can pitch like this in the playoffs. Hey, Kevin Rios over on Periscope. I think my man, Real FRG says Periscope if you're nasty. We love our Periscope guests. David Bruh, Dodgers got that dub. Now it's time to play the new 2K. Okay, get your video game on, but wait till after the show. By the way, if you're watching on Twitter, retweet the show so your friends can join in on the action. And if you're watching on Facebook, be sure to share so all your Dodger friends can join in here on the action, here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. And also, be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Dugout podcast, the latest production from Dodgers Nation. And it's where we take all the takes from tonight's show, we condense it into a podcast, and we add additional analysis and post-game reaction from all the players and Dave Roberts, and we just add a bunch of stuff. So be sure to subscribe on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. Definitely subscribe, rate, review, because you'll hear yourself on the podcast. It's pretty cool. Clay, glad to see Max starting to fire up on the bat. Yeah, Max Muncy tonight, he has just steadily gotten back into it. Every night you look at the box score, it looks like he had a better night, but he's getting there. 1 for 2 tonight, scored a run, 2 walks. So he's taking more walks these days. His understanding of the strike zone, his play discipline is definitely improving from where it was early on. And Max Muncy is definitely headed in the right direction. But here, let's go here into the top of the third inning. Against Varsho, he was in attack mode again, challenging Varsho in the zone, gets ahead in the count 0-2, and then gets him to ground out for the first out of the inning for the first out. And then Carson Kelly takes strike 3 on a perfectly painted fastball in the outside corner for his 5th punch out of the night. And more importantly, it was his 2,501st strikeout of his career, tying Christy Mathewson. Those are names that your granddad tells you about. The Christy Mathewsons of the world and the Walter Johnsons of the world, okay? And he's among that circle. That is the company he keeps. He's at that table. Clayton Kershaw, we are seeing a legend before our eyes. All he needs on that resume is a World Series title, and I'm telling you, he will be up there in the Mount Rushmore of pitchers when it's all said and done. And then Clayton Kershaw, at that point, Clayton Kershaw, the story there was he was getting way ahead in the count. He was attacking guys. He was on fire. He was in the zone. 8 consecutive batters. He had him at an 0-2 hole. 8 consecutive batters at that point, an 0-2 hole for Clayton Kershaw. And then on the 12th pitch, then on a big at-bat right there, on the 12th pitch, he gets LeCastro looking for his 6th punch out of the night. His hardest throw of the night, 93. Some 93-mile-per-hour paint right there from Clayton Kershaw. 6 of the 9 outs come via the strikeout up to that point. Then the bottom of the third, more nothing from the Dodgers. Head to the top of the 4th. Clayton Kershaw was dialed all the way in. Fastball, strikeout, sweeping 83 miles per hour slider for strike 2. And then he gets Calhoun to ground out for the first out. And that slider, he was getting soft contact all night long with that slider. Softer than a marshmallow playing two-hand touch football. That's how soft some of that contact was. And that slider is the difference-maker pitch for Clayton Kershaw. And then he strikes out Walker for the 2nd time of the night on a back foot slider for out number 2. And then for one of the few times early on, he falls behind the count 3-1. He didn't agree with Malachi Moore there on that pitch. He goes down 3-1, and then he gets Peralta to ground to first for the 3rd out. So he gets out of that. It was Clayton Kershaw at that point, retired 7 in a row at that point since the walk to Peralta in the 2nd, struck out 7 through 4 on 63 pitches. So at that point, you look at that pitch count, and you're starting to say to yourself, hey, it is possible. Clayton Kershaw, the magic at that point. Could we see history at Dodger Stadium? You're looking at about 15, close to 16 pitches per inning. It was very possible. Then the bottom of the 4th, more nothing from that Dodger offense. So one thing I don't like is some of these droughts by this Dodgers offense. You saw yesterday, before Mookie Betts hit that breaking pitch into center field to tie the game, the Dodgers offense was stagnant for long stretches yesterday, and the same goes for today. That offense still had 11 hits. If you look at the box score, it looks like this offense was rolling, but the Dodger offense was really flummoxed by Weaver, and they were having a difficult time hitting his changeup all night long. And then in the top, let's jump into some more comments. So how do you guys grade Kershaw? Who is your player of the game? Is it Clayton Kershaw? I think that's pretty obvious. But who's your player of the game on offense? Who you going with? I think you got to go with CT3 again. Chris Taylor, 2 for 4 in the night, an RBI, scores a run. Or you go with Corey Seager, too. Corey Seager goes 3 for 4 tonight. He scores a run. His average now up to 323. Corey Seager, first pitch swinging. I call him the eager Seager, and he gets it done tonight for this Dodgers offense. And you've got to love, there is not a team in Major League Baseball that has a 1-2 punch like that at the top of their order. 2 bona fide MVP candidates in Mookie and Siegs. You got to love what you're seeing in the top of this Dodgers offense. But let's jump back into these comments here, and then we'll keep breaking down this Dodger win. Dodgers get the win tonight 5-1 and sweep the Arizona Diamondbacks. Glad to see Max starting to fire up on the bat. Was worried about him a little bit. That's from Clay. So Max Muncy is a guy that he's starting to pick it up at the right time. His last 10, Max Muncy, heading into tonight, Max Muncy, he's hitting about 250. So 250, but he's slugging 500. And that's what they need for Max Muncy, hitting 250 with 2 home runs, 6 walks. So look at the walks, 6 walks to 8 strikeouts. So, and then you add another couple more walks today, that puts him at 8 walks. So that's encouraging. And this series, Max Muncy, he goes tonight. He was actually hitting 250 in this series as well. So I see another question here about Cody Bellinger. Let's jump into some of these. Steve Romero, this is our town. A sale loner, a sweep is as lucky can be. Dieter Rule was playing that song in the top of the ninth. You got to love Dieter Rule. The thing about the Dodgers, pretty much everyone they have is the best in the business, and Dieter Rule is another example there. Doug Crosby, Seager is just a man on a mission. I think he's definitely a man on a mission. He's a guy that, one, is going to be a free agent before you know it, so he wants to secure that bag, and he also wants to secure that reputation as an elite shortstop, which he has this year. There's no question about it. Corey Seager's playing like the best shortstop in Major League Baseball, and he has been in rake mode for pretty much the entire season. Corey Seager, just a 3-hit game from Corey Seager tonight. You got to love that. Corey Seager's average now up to 323, OPSing 971, slugging 600 on the year. Corey Seager is now catching up to Mookie Betts with hits. 43 hits for Mookie Betts on the year, and then 42 with Corey Seager. So I think Mookie Betts goes 1 for 5 tonight. He gets that hit because he's saying, hey, Corey Seager's catching up to me in hits. So they're close right at the top of that Dodger lineup there. But here we go. Do you think Bellinger will cool off from the 3 days off? I think that Cody Bellinger, it was a strain. Apparently he hurt it. It was a lat strain that he hurt in the batting cage. I think that days off for Cody Bellinger might affect him more than it would other players, because Cody Bellinger is a player that does rely on his rhythm at the plate. And like we mentioned earlier, he was really starting to get going. Cody Bellinger, his last 10, we kind of mentioned it earlier, Cody Bellinger hitting well. His last 10, though, going about 292 with 2 home runs. So last 16, though, 8 home runs. So Cody Bellinger, he just has to slug. Last year he ended up hitting 305. We don't need him to hit 305. We need him to hit 275, but we need him to slug and drive in runs. And Cody Bellinger is definitely, he looks more comfortable at the plate. Not his best night tonight. Cody Bellinger goes 0 for 4. But I think Cody Bellinger's in a good place. I really do. You see him up there. He does not look lost like he did early on the season. Cody Bellinger is in a much better place. And it really if we want to play a game called Who's Thumping and Who's Slumping, for Who's Slumping, you got to go with Gavin Lux. Gavin Lux now striking out almost 40% of the time. It has been a rough go of it in his 5 games. Gavin Lux, he doesn't play tonight, but Gavin Lux, 5 games on the year, and he has just been going through it in a major way. Gavin Lux on the season, this series against the Diamondbacks, Lux goes 0 for 6 with 3 strikeouts and a walk in this series. His last 7, 118, 2 for 17 with 7 strikeouts. So is there enough time for Gavin Lux to figure this thing out as we move into the postseason? That remains to be seen. I want to see him in there, though. I want to see him in there. The father of perfection is repetition, and I want to see him in there. I would rather see him fail his way forward than see guys like Kike Hernandez out there who really the Dodgers don't have a future with. Let's just be honest here. So Kike Hernandez, too, he was heading into tonight. Kike Hernandez, he had a better night. He goes 2 for 4. 2 for 4 for Kike Hernandez. He got that one hit that was originally ruled an error, and then they changed it to a single, and then he gets that hit late there. But Kike Hernandez was 0 for 3 in this series. And then his last 10 heading into tonight, Kike Hernandez was betting a .59 with 7 strikeouts and a walk. So Kike Hernandez not giving them very much offensively. Defensively, though, you gotta love to see. You love to see what you see. You gotta love it with Kike Hernandez. Still doing it with the glove. Still giving everything he has out there. But 1 second here. Let's jump back into this comment section, guys. We got. Do you think we got singles will win it from Ed East Bay? If Kershaw pitches like this in the playoffs, it's over. We're unbeatable. Yeah, that is the $1 million question. Can Clayton Kershaw perform like this when it means the most? Because Clayton Kershaw, the only thing that separates him with Sandy Koufax is a couple no-hitters in a perfect game, but also his ability to pitch this lights out in the postseason. Now, I think most of his struggles are a little bit overblown, and I'm not going to dive way too into that. We could spend a whole show talking about that. Maybe we will one of these days. But Clayton Kershaw, if he pitches this well in the postseason, the Dodgers, they will be in the World Series, and they will win the World Series if he can pitch like this. Because we know Walker, big game Buehler, he's going to pitch well. Walker Buehler, last year against the Nationals, 12 2/3 of no-run ball against the Washington Nationals. So he was absolutely lights out. We know we have a dog in him, and then we also know Julio Urias, Dustin May, and Gonsolin have the talent to be lights out starters. So let's head to the top of the fourth, and let's head to the top of the fifth inning. So top of the fifth inning, more than half of, actually let's jump back, let's take some more comments here. Let's jump into this comment section a little bit. I don't know about Cy Young. Trevor Bauer has been going off. Yeah, I don't think that Clayton Kershaw, at this point, as great as he's pitched, is going to win the Cy Young Award necessarily. There's other guys out there, like even our old friend Yu Darvish or Trevor Bauer's in the running. But Clayton Kershaw's been there, won that, okay? 3 Cy Youngs, an MVP. Call me when you win an MVP and a Cy Young in the same year, because Clayton Kershaw has done that. His trophy case, all it's missing is he just needs to raise that commissioner's trophy and get a World Series MVP. So that's all he's missing from his trophy case. But let's head here to the top of the fifth inning. Take a sip of water here, guys. Couple other questions. Do you guys think, yes or no answer, can Clayton Kershaw pitch like this in the postseason this year? I know some people want to go throw out the choke shaw phrase and start trolling, but I think if you have to look at this constructively, a couple points to consider is, one, the shortened season, he's going to be healthy, he's going to be fresh, and then two, the increase in velo, the sharpness of his breaking pitches, the depth that he has on that slider, the way he's landing that Uncle Charlie. I think you have to be constructive and just forget the past and look at the future. I think the Dodger fans, one thing, they need to get past the past. And they need to get past the past and start looking at this team right here now and look at Clayton Kershaw and see that he's a pitcher that has what it takes to be effective in October here. Okay. All right. I need one of those like Camelback something. All right, David Bro, Dodgers Dune, the nub. Actually, Kersh is driven because he was cheated. I think you're definitely right. I think there's some added motivation there. The knob, hope Kersh gets the ERA title at least, though. We'll see if he has the innings to qualify for it, but it's definitely possible. But here we go. So, top of the fifth, more than half of Kershaw's appearances, he's given up either one run or no run. So isn't that insane? Just look at that statistic. In half of his appearances, he's given up either one or no run. So Clayton Kershaw, just throwing out another reason why he's a living legend. And then the third time through the order, though, hitters were hitting .286 against Kershaw on the year. So I think this was the big inning for Clayton Kershaw, because he did temporarily lose his command on his slider and his fastball. He walks Ahmed on 4 pitches, and then Rojas flies to center for the first out, and then he hits Andy Young on a fastball inside. And it looks like he just turned into it a little bit, but that was really just bad technique by him. And that gave the Diamondbacks runners on first and second with 1 out. Gets Varsho swinging with his patented 12-6 Uncle Charlie for Kershaw's 8th K of the night. And then after a 10-pitch at-bat, Kershaw gets Kelly to ground into the shift for the 3rd out. So no runs, no hits, a walk, and it hits batsman, and Kershaw threw 5. So no runs, no hits, a walk, and it hits Batman, and Kershaw threw 4, was at 63. But in that 5th inning, he was taxed for 21 pitches. So 21 pitches in that 5th inning, 8 balls, 5 foul balls in that inning. They got that pitch count up on Kersh. And his high for the year was 96 pitches in his 11 strikeout game against the Mariners. So I think at that point, the no-hitter was out of the window. It was not a question whether or not he was going to go the full 9 frames to make a run at that second career no-hitter. But I think the question also was, can he give you 2-3 more innings and take the load off that bullpen that has been taxed heavily in the last month or so? So you go to the bottom of the fifth, the Dodgers, they struggled against the changeup again. So back when they faced Weaver early in the year, the Dodgers had scored 6 runs, 7 hits in 4 innings back in early August. And then they struggled with his changeup. Beatty strikes out swinging with a changeup. Kike flies out. Barnes struck out swinging on a changeup. Weaver retired 13 in a row with 5 strikeouts at that point. And then Chris Taylor struck out on a changeup. Muncy struck out swinging on a changeup. So they had an issue with that changeup all night long. But that's the great thing about this Dodgers lineup is they're going to get to the bullpen and they're going to start attacking. But I see some big comments here. Great outing by Kershaw. Go Blue. Hello, guys. Can you give us a hand to free McCourt? I like that little soccer reference there. Kershaw will get a ring. Train bunting more today would have brought more runs. Train bunting is a very powerful, underrated tool. I think the Dodgers have that in their bag. We saw that spark them when they were slumping a few weeks ago, and they have guys that can execute the bunt. Even Jock Peterson was executing bunts into shifts a few nights ago. Chris Taylor, they have guys that can get on via the bunt. But when this team is at its best, it's when they're slugging. That's why they lead all of Major League Baseball in home runs. And the Dodgers, yes, they have that, and it's in their back pocket. But their approach this year has been effective, and I think they're going to stick with that. But, Laura, it gets me upset when they continue to leave runners on base. Kershaw was excellent. That's from Laura Ruiz. We got Mike out here representing East Central Illinois. Love Kershaw Day. Love the Dodgers. A sale question looking forward. Is there any potential opening round matchup that can maybe beat the Dodgers? I think that's a fantastic question because the reality there is in a 3-game series, anyone can beat anyone in Major League Baseball. That is the nature of the sport that you love because it's just a fluke. It's a fluky series. It's a coin flip no matter how you look at it. I don't care if it's the Reds, the Rockies, the Padres. I think the Dodgers ultimately will win, but that has a lot of pressure. If you drop game 1 in game 2, it depends who's hot at the time. I think that the Padres are a team that their rotation is stacked with righties. I think the Dodgers will get runs off them, so I don't fear them. They're the team, the team of the month, the flavor of the month, if you will. I think the Reds are just kind of all over the place a little bit. If they make it the Rockies, the Rockies could be an interesting matchup in that first round. The Marlins could be an interesting matchup in that first round, considering the Marlins have made the playoffs twice in their team's history and both times resulted in a World Series championship. So I think the way to look at it is if you're the Dodgers, you know that you have 2 frontline starters right now in Clayton Kershaw and Walker Buehler, and you have the most potent offense in Major League Baseball. So you got to live with that. And if you're the Dodgers, really the thing that will work against you is the fact that they're going to be in Texas. Imagine having the offense that the Dodgers have and then having to go to a pitcher's park in Arlington. That hasn't been announced yet, but appears that is going to be where they're going to be holding the postseason for the National League. And to me, if you want my honest opinion, to be frank, I think that's just baloney because if you're the Dodgers, you're on pace after tonight to win 119 games in a 162-game season. This Dodger team is historically great, and for you not to have any advantage, I think that what they should have done is they should have let the top 2 teams in each division get first-round buys, and if they're going to go with this expanded postseason moving forward, that's what they need to consider, something like the NFL does, because, hey, I'm okay with having more teams in the playoffs, but you don't want to lose a team like the Dodgers in the first round because you got to remember, this is October. You're going to go against the NBA playoffs, the NBA finals. You're going to go against the NFL regular season, college football. You need the Dodgers in the World Series or at least making a deep postseason run. So I think that was a big mistake by Major League Baseball. But don't worry, mark my words, the Dodgers are going to get past that first round. They're going to do whatever it takes to advance. This team is not going out like they did last year. Mark my words at 10-12 here on September 3rd, 2020, okay? I don't even like saying the year, 2020, because I'm not a fan of it. Dodgers will go Lakers. Jock is struggling too. Belly always struggles when he focuses on home runs. Keep Jock, trade Lux. Doug Crosby, looks lost at the plate. I think you're spot on with that. I think you're right on with that take. He does look lost. It's tough for Gavin Lux. He's still trying to figure it out. A young player, so green, was the minor league player of the year, came in with so much hype, and it's tough. It's tough. You're playing with the Los Angeles Dodgers. You're expected to produce, and fortunately, he hasn't gotten it done. I think that swing, a lot of movement, a lot of hand movement up there, a very complicated swing. He just does not look comfortable at the plate. On that double, on that single, when he does make contact, you see the potential. He flashes it when he does put the bat on the ball, but for the most part, he just hasn't gotten it done. And I think this puts an end to the rumors. It puts a rest to those rumors that the Dodgers were doing service time manipulation. I think that they were playing with the best guys there, but like I said, Gavin Lux needs the reps. Repetition is the father of perfection. He needs to be in there. I'd rather see him fail on the job and work this thing out before the postseason, because if he does catch fire, he can be a major asset come October. But let's jump back into this breakdown of tonight's matchup. Dodgers get the win. Lux is from Kenosha. Do I think what's happening in his hometown is affecting him? I heard he was doing something philanthropic towards his hometown. It's possible. It's possible. I would not dismiss anything involving mental health. Look what Paul George was saying with his mental health and how it was affecting him. So it's very possible. I wouldn't discount it. You never know. Your polo is fire where you got it. My mom got it for me for my birthday. I don't know. I'm not really sure where she got it for me. She hooked it up. Shout out to my mom. Always keep me fitted here. By the way, though, if you really want, usually I'm rocking my Dodgers Nation t-shirt. It happens to be laundry day, but go to DodgersNation.com and cop some merch. Get merched up for the postseason. No one does the t-shirt game like Dodgers Nation. The Joe Kelly nice swing blank one, the death row one, the new In-N-Out Burger double one for Corey Seager. Go get merched up over at DodgersNation.com/shop. So definitely, and also be sure to join the Dodgers Nation YouTube channel over at youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. And no, actually, now that you think about it, I actually copped this at the stadium. And it was like $20 more than it was at the store online. So what's up, Dodgers Stadium store? You charging me more for the shirt than it really was. What's up with that? But let's jump back in here. So the top of the sixth inning, LeCastro, he bounces to Kike for the first out, and then Kershaw gets Calhoun to ground to first for the second out. Walker gets an infield hit for the first D-back hit of the night. Where was Miguel Rojas when you need him? Everyone wants to talk about Hanley Ramirez, and rightfully so, for ending Clayton Kershaw's perfect game bid, but Miguel Rojas, that play he made at third to preserve that no-hitter, that's the kind of magic you need to have a no-hitter. You need something special along with what's happening on the mound. You need everyone to step up defensively, and unfortunately, it was a tough play for Kike Hernandez. He made a great effort on it. He was practically in right field, a 40-foot throw, and the throw was not, it was in time. The throw was in time. It was just high. So it was a Herculean effort. You know, Kike Hernandez with the glove is very nice with it, but unfortunately did not make the play. And that was it. So no runs, one hit. He gets Peralta to ground out for the third out, and you were just hoping and praying that possibly Clayton Kershaw would have some magic here in the sixth inning. Did you guys feel like Clayton Kershaw was going to get that no-hitter? Let me know down below in the comments. Here we go. Let's jump. We got baseball. Kurt Choke. Hey, keep coming with it, but keep that same energy when Clayton Kershaw wins World Series MVP, all right? Baseball over on YouTube. When Clayton Kershaw wins World Series MVP, the champagne's popping, and he's raising that commissioner's trophy, and we're going crazy. Keep that same energy. I'm telling you, Clayton Kershaw has put in the work. He's seeing the results, and you saw that tonight. Ryan, yes, he seems to have his groove back, and as you mentioned, he's attacking the zone more. That curve looks nastier than ever, too. That curveball is one of the greatest pitches in baseball history, and when he lands it like he was tonight, 12-6, parachute, trapdoor, whatever you want to call it, it's a thing of beauty. It's like watching Picasso paint, whatever you want to say, Jordan's fadeaway. Clayton Kershaw's curveball is world-class. Doug, don't remember point number 3. Kershaw was the victim of the cheaters, along with the hey, Clay, I got you on that one. Big facts over from Clay from Facebook. Elliot, Kershaw should get some rest before postseason just to be ready. Not a bad idea. I think you'll see the Dodgers be very on the side of caution, and they're going to be very selective with their pitchers and giving them rest. I think that's definitely a part of the game plan, because when you have this cushion that the Dodgers have, they're not going to be battling out for positioning. They're going to have a lead, and they're not going to falter late in the season. So they're going to have a big lead and a big cushion to keep guys healthy, and that's going to be an advantage considering we're going the extra round. So the depth of the Dodgers and their ability to stay fresh because the lead is going to pay dividends come October. Yeah, Kershaw could be on his own revenge tour from Ryan. Great job from Nelly's. Playoff butane is scary good. Big game Bueller is a baller, no question. Damn, if he doesn't play, that's crazy from Brian. Lucky him if the Dodgers win. So then bottom of the 6th inning, Mookie flies to center for his first out, and then the Dodgers get their first base runner since the first inning, thanks to a Corey Seager single on a sharp ground ball to right. A pitching change, Travis Bergen replaces Weaver, walks Muncy on 4 pitches, bringing up Bellinger with runners on first and second with 1 out, and the Dodgers are now 16-2 on the year when they walk 4 or more times. Bellinger pops to center. For heading into that, tonight only 2 walks for the Dodgers, but heading into that, 16-2 when they walk 4 times or more. So like I was saying, walking is winning with this club. And then the Dodgers, then Bellinger pops to center for the second out. CT3 grounds into the fielder's choice to short to get Muncy out at second for the third out. The Dodgers get a hit and a walk. They strand 2, but at least they got another runner on base. So Clayton Kershaw tonight, 99 pitches, 66 for strikes, 8 punch-outs, 2 walks, just 1 hit by Walker, 17 for 22 on first pitch strikes, 20 called strikes for Clayton Kershaw, 15 swings and misses. His season high was 19 against the Mariners, but he was missing bats tonight. He was doing it with all 3 of his big pitches, the curveball, the slider, and the fastball. And I think that is the most encouraging development, is that he's missing bats with that fastball. So, save for 1 rough outing against the Giants, he's been nothing short of spectacular this season. And his ERA now down to 1.5. His K through 9 at 10.25, 1.5 walks per 9 in a .72 whip. Like we talked about earlier, might not have the innings to qualify for that ERA title. Shane Bieber is at 1.2, Darvish 1.47, Kershaw at 1.5, and then Fried is right above him at 1.60. So Clayton Kershaw was his 353rd lifetime appearance, 180th time he's held the opposition to 1 run or no runs. That's over half of his appearances. So kudos to Kershaw, a virtuoso performance tonight for one of the greatest pitchers to ever do it. But let's jump back here into these comments, and then we'll get into the final 3 innings where the bullpen came in, and then they closed it out. And we got to Brian. Padres won't win a World Series anytime soon. Trust. Yeah, I'm not worried about the Padres. Like I said, if we face them, we are going to body slam Diego, the Padres. So I want them to bring it. Not afraid of the Padres. Definitely not. And, hey, they got some great players, and I'm not dismissing the talent that they have, but I'm just not afraid of that starting rotation with Lamet and Richards. And I think that that Clevenger gave up 2 runs today in a loss. They scored no runs against the Angels. Imagine scoring no runs against the Angels and thinking you could beat the Dodgers. Not happening. Let's see. And then the 7th inning, top of the 7th, Dylan Floro comes in to pitch the 7th. Ahmed couldn't find the command. Dylan Floro, a few rough outings in the last few weeks or so. It wasn't too bad, but Floro comes in to pitch the 7th. Ahmed couldn't find he couldn't find the command. He couldn't find the command on his sinker, and he walks Ahmed. Rojas singles on a liner to center. Ahmed goes first to third, and then Young grounds to third, hits slowly. They get the out at second, but not in time to get 2. So Young, he grounds to third. It was a slow hit ball. Muncy played it well. Quick release. Kike makes the turn, but they weren't able to turn 2. And that scores Ahmed. Into scores Ahmed. Young beats the throw at first, and they cut the Dodger lead to 2-1. So it was a tied game late in the game. It was a 2-1 game, and you know the rule, guys. You don't walk the leadoff man. Unfortunately, it bit the Dodgers in that inning. So just a second run of the year for Dylan Floro, and his ERA now at 1.10. So Dylan Floro, really a great bounce-back year for Floro, pitching more like 2018 Dylan Floro this year. Just not the night for him. Couldn't find the command on that sinker, but the velocity is there on that sinker. I think he's going to help us in the postseason. Here we go. Clay, love nice swing. Blank. Oh, Doug, you rock. Thanks, my man Clay. Always repping the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Love your T-shirt. From Louise Bryant, they made the World Series back-to-back. What are you talking about? Seager should have had that. Imagine thinking losing every playoff is good from Train. I don't know who you're talking to or what you're talking about, but I don't think there's anyone here that likes losing in the postseason. But what the Dodgers have is a sustainable franchise that's in the mix year in and year out, and one of those years they're going to get it done. But we got a blessing in disguise that Kike didn't make that play, in my opinion. Kershaw's pitch count was already high. Doug Crosby, that's a great point. I agree with your sentiment on that it was good in the sense that it took the pressure off Dave Roberts and Clayton Kershaw, because if you got a no-hitter and you're Clayton Kershaw and you're at home and you're rolling, you got to consider it. But I think that play right there, it took the decision-making out of Dave Roberts and Clayton Kershaw, and it was just a solid night. But I think that our friend here, Jason McClure, one of the writers at Dodgers Nation, he's been saying all year that Clayton Kershaw has another no-hitter in him, and that was evidenced by his performance tonight. One of these days, he's going to be cruising so late, and you never know. Clayton Kershaw definitely has no-hit stuff at this stage in his career, which is absolutely phenomenal. It's something that's so respectable, considering that he threw his 2,500 strikeout tonight. So the longevity is something you got to consider too with Clayton Kershaw. In his early days, late in the first part of his career, they used him on 3 days rest, 4 days rest. He was pitching so much in the postseason, and Clayton Kershaw, nothing but respect for one of the greatest to ever do it. So then the seventh. So then they get Varsho to fly to Jock for the second out of the seventh. Then Kelly flies to right. And then bottom of the seventh. I thought this was interesting. Some gamesmanship from the Diamondbacks. Bergen warms up to face A.J. Pollock. And then Torey Lovullo, he makes a switch to Mella to pitch to a righty-on-righty matchup with A.J. Pollock. That backfired big time because A.J. Pollock, first pitch, a 416-foot bomb to center field for his 7th home run of the year. The Dodgers' 70th on the year as a team. That puts them one ahead of the San Diego Padres for the league lead. And it was the first pinch hit home run for the Dodgers this year. They haven't gotten very much from pinch hitters this season, so the first pinch hit bomb for the Dodgers. And I think A.J. Pollock is a real X factor for this club. A.J. Pollock, last year, he struggled mightily in that playoff series against the Washington Nationals. 11 strikeouts and 13 at-bats in that NLDS, getting $15 million a year. And if he produces like this, he's hitting .262 on the year, but 7 home runs, 9 doubles, 18 RBIs. If they can get a lot from him, if he can produce, you know Justin Turner's coming through. You know Bellinger is going to find it. Corey Seager and Mookie Betts are Corey Seager and Mookie Betts, that two-headed monster at the top of the lineup. He makes this a explosive lineup that there has no holes. So he makes the Death Star fully operational if he has it at the plate, and I think he's the X factor for this Dodgers offense, because if he comes through, it's just going to be over the top. You're going to start seeing big time innings in the postseason. So Matt Beatty, he couldn't hold up on a slider for his 3rd strikeout of the night. Kike reached on an error, then it was changed to a hit. Then Barnes, he can't lay off a slider low and away for his 2nd strikeout of the game. Then Mookie gets a 2-out base hit to left to score Kike for the 2nd Dodger run of the bottom of the 7th to take a 4-1 lead. And Mella's night was dumb. In comes Mantiply. And then Corey Seager, he went down. He got a curveball blooped into left for his 3rd hit of the night. So 3 hits for Corey Seager tonight. Then Max Muncy takes a 4-pitch walk to load the bases for his 2nd free pass of the night. Then that was it for the Dodgers offense. Nothing doing there. Then the top of the 8th, Blake Trinan comes in to pitch the 8th. LeCastro reaches on a soft grounder to 3rd. He hits Cole Calhoun, and he now leads the team with 3 hit batsmen on the year, does Blake Trinan. So hopefully that won't rear its ugly head in a bad spot in the postseason. We got to watch for that. And then he gets Walker to fly out for the 1st out, gets Peralta to ground into a force. They get Calhoun at 2nd. LeCastro goes to 3rd, and then he gets Ahmed to ground into a force to get out of the inning. So a little shaky there, but he gets out of it. And then in the 9th inning, Chris Taylor, he doubles for his second hit of the night. Hernandez cranks one in to score CT3 to make it 5-1 Dodgers, and the Dodgers get the win. Jake McGee, another nice outing for Jake McGee. He comes in to pitch the 9th inning, goes 1 inning, and he strikes out the side, gives up a hit, but 3 punch-outs for Jake McGee in the inning. But here we go, guys. Couple more here. Couple more your Fire Dodger takes. Be sure to subscribe to the Dodgers Nation Dodgers Dugout podcast so you can hear all your takes. And I add a bunch of stuff, a bunch of analysis and post-game reaction. You'll get it there. We got Clay something. Padres gave away a nice chunk of depth for 2 players from the Indians. They took a hit on their farming system prospects. We, on the other hand, have not. I think there was really a payoff for Freeman in the long term. Preller is doing a fire sale on his farm to try to get past in the post. Yeah, look, I was saying that, the Padres are like Bitcoin, okay? They might get lucky and they might get rich and win a World Series, but most likely it's probably not going to work out, and they're going to end up with a lot of minors, if you know what I mean. They're going to have a lot of have to rebuild the minor leagues again. The Dodgers are like real estate. It's ever valuable. It's ever increasing in value, and the Dodgers have a better foundation, and I would rather do what the Dodgers are doing is building a sustainable winner through homegrown talent. The Dodgers, all the homegrown talent. San Diego, it's either through trades. It's mainly through trades. So they built that farm system to cash in on prospects. When the Dodgers, I trust the development of the Dodgers farm system, and just look around the diamond. Yes, Mookie Betts is the best player on the Dodgers, and he wasn't developed, but other than Mookie Betts, pretty much it's chock full of homegrown talent. Kirby Yates, a 12.46 ERA. We got Dodger Yard just spitting in the comments. I'm loving it. But here we go, guys. Couple of things tonight. Couple of things tonight is my Dodger facts, co-facts of the night. My Dodger fact of the night is that Tom Seaver was drafted out of USC by the Dodgers. Tom Seaver, rest in peace. Vin Scully said that Tom Seaver was the best right-handed pitcher he had ever seen, so that's all I need to know. That just confirms he's the best right-hander of all time because Vin Scully said it. Tom Seaver was drafted out of USC by the Dodgers in the 10th round of the 1965 June amateur draft, but he did not sign with L.A., and he was drafted by Atlanta in January 1966, but there was this technicality in his contract that they had it voided, so then he ends up on the Mets, who won a 3-team lottery to sign him. So Tom Seaver from USC could have been in Dodger blue, and then the next fact is on March 28, 1976, there was a report that he was traded to the Dodgers for Don Sutton, and the report indicated that the trade only needed Sutton to approve of it before it was completed, but because Sutton had 1 extra year of service on Seaver, he met the 10-year threshold that gave him the right to refuse the trade, which he did. So that's a rumor out there that Tom Seaver was not only drafted, the drafting was confirmed, but that he could have been traded to the Dodgers. So rest in peace, Tom Seaver, Mr. Met, one of the greatest to ever do it. But yep, guys, thanks for rocking with us here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. As always, head over to DodgersNation.com. And that's for DodgersNation.com, your home for all things Dodgers. Analysis, reports, everything you want to know about your boys in blue, you'll find over at DodgersNation.com. And then subscribe to the YouTube channel. Go to YouTube.com/DodgersNationTV. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at DMac_LA. That's at DMac_LA over on Twitter and Instagram. And then, let's do a couple more, let's squeeze a couple takes in here, and then we're going to head out here. And then tomorrow when the podcast drops, you guys can hear your fire takes here. We got Alden, Rays are nasty, train like absolutely own them. A's from Dodgers, Dion, B taking care, a sale loaner. Yankees have only 2 dubs against the Rays in 10 games. That is some ownage by the Rays. You have to thank George Steinbrenner for making the Rays even a club, because that's where we would hang out in the off season. But yeah, the Rays, Glass now, I like that team. Go Dodgers. See you later, Doug, from Jose Rod, Brian, Alex. How fitting, because that's the last team we beat in the World Series, from Dodgers Dune. Ryan O'Ryan, yes, R.I.P. Tom Seaver, rest in peace. Yeah, everyone do a hashtag, rest in peace Tom Seaver, one of the greats, one of the all-time greats in the game. Rays versus Dodgers World Series. Yeah, if you guys want to throw in some World Series predictions, Train is on the Rays train. I'm loving it because, hey, I think that's a very interesting team. A very interesting team out there in Tampa Bay. But, yeah, thanks again, guys, for rocking with us here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. As always, you guys are the best fans in the game. Clayton Kershaw gets the win. The Dodgers, they win tonight 5-1. Their 10th straight win at Dodger Stadium. But that's going to do it for me here on the Dodgers Nation post-game show. Remember, nothing brings us together quite like Dodgers baseball. Think blue, bleed blue, and I'm out.
Swung on and missed a perfect game.